Hi, folks. This is Kurt, your instructor for the course. A lot of you, actually, probably about a quarter of you, have worked with me before, so some of this will be familiar, particularly my method of delivering material via video. Due to various responses and feedback from students from last semester, I have started using a lot more quote unquote paper copies of stuff, i.e., documents and so forth. So you'll see a lot more of that. The documents that I do share with you and generate for you are going to be a lot more detailed, as you can see already from what is on Blackboard at present. So the purpose of this video is to briefly run through the syllabus with you again. I'm not going to cover every minute point of it. I do trust in your ability to read and evaluate it on your own. If you have any questions about it, please seek me out, and I'll address those with you. I've already had one person text me and about it, and the course doesn't actually start till Monday. This is Friday afternoon that I'm making this video, so I take that as a really good sign for this course. So anyway, let's take a look at the syllabus. So you'll actually find the syllabus in two places. You'll find the syllabus where it says syllabus. That's fairly obvious. You'll also find the syllabus under week 1 because obviously you're looking at the syllabus for the first time during week 1. So anyway, let's open up the document. All right, so I'll go through here the contact information stuff with you. So I'm Kurt Meyer, obviously. This is a Google Voice number that's here to differentiate it from my private cell phone number. You do not need to download Google Voice to make use of this number. It works just like a regular cell phone number. So you can text me at this number, and I will get the text via the Google Voice app. It also, I get the text in my private email as well. They send me an email. So, if you need to text me, you can certainly use that. Also, my email address is here. And also my WebEx office. Okay, my virtual office is the URL for that is right here. So you would copy and paste this in your browser to get to my virtual office. I don't have set hours for that because I found last semester that it was kind of futile. In fact, for 2 weeks last semester, I did about 4+ hours a day of virtual office, and I had one student connect with me in that manner that entire time. My dog is being very enthusiastic. I apologize. So anyway, this is the next material on here. But if you need to, if you need to meet with me via WebEx, you want to meet with me face to face, quote unquote, then I'd be more than happy to arrange a time for you to meet via WebEx. You want to arrange that with me via email or text, so we can set up a time. But I'll be more than happy to do that with you. I'll be more than happy to meet with you as a group on WebEx as well. If you want to do that as your group, as you're working in your research group. So we'll talk about that as we go through the syllabus. So this is essentially boilerplate material. Basically, the goal of the course is to continue along the trajectory that you began in 1301. And in this course, you're essentially going to be applying research and the evaluation of evidence to your writing. Okay, so that's the change in emphasis from the previous course. You're still going to be considering audience. You're still going to be considering the most appropriate means to communicate what you want to communicate, given this various scenarios for which you're writing and so forth, right? So that really hasn't changed. We're still valuing, you drawing upon your various experiences and perspectives, okay? But the difference here, or the added emphasis here, is that you will be engaging in or engaging with scholarly material, right? Published, scholarly, reputable material to bolster what you're saying, right? To emphasize the significance or the meaning behind what you're writing, right? Okay. So, grading, which is something that obviously everyone is concerned about. Otherwise, you wouldn't be taking a college course. This class filled up immediately. I've never had a summer course do that before. So, I may or may not have the reputation of being quote unquote, lenient or what have you. I will say that, we are still in a pandemic, and the pandemic considerations are still in play. However, we are also beginning this course online rather than having to just sort of throw it all out there midstream, right? So my expectations are going to be perhaps a little bit more focused, but the impetus, what informs my quote-unquote grading philosophy, etc., remains the same. That is that this is an effort-based course. So basically, you are assessed not necessarily on the quality of the final products alone, but also and primarily on the quality of the labor that you are putting into the products, and putting into the course itself. And you're assessed on that in some ways traditionally, because you are assessed on the types of improvements that you make in your various projects from one draft to another. I'm actually going to ask for 2 to 3 identified changes, or shifts or augmented, however you want to call it, for each major project draft. So you are assessed in that way, but you're also assessed in your ability to advocate for the quality of your labor. In other words, for your ability to tell me, express to me why and how you have put in a tremendous amount of labor for that given period, whether it be for that week or what have you. So with that in mind, I'm shifting a bit. I'm making some changes. Rather than having you do reflective pieces on each aspect of a project, I'm basically streamlining that and having you do a reflective piece each week. Right now, it's a minimum 2-page reflective piece on essentially anything and everything that you have been engaged in, in that week, in reference to the class. Now, that's not to say I just want you to make a list. I want you to delve into it and tell me specifically why and how you feel the way that you do, or why and how you approach a particular project the way that you do, or approach a particular interaction, communication, etc., the way that you do. But we'll get more and more into that as we move along. Okay. All right. So let's look at the stuff here in actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm going to go down here real quick. So you will have grades indicated on Blackboard for various assignments. However, and please understand that these numbers are symbolic. They do not represent point totals. Okay, so a 5 is symbolic of an on-time and complete assignment. That's what you want, right? Your goal is to get all 5s, right? If you get all 5s, that means, in essence, that translates to 100 average at the end of the term, right? That's what you want, right? The other number that you'll see the most often is late. Okay, that's a 2. Okay, now you can turn something in late up to 48 hours after it's due. Okay, and still get a late. After that, you can get you get a missing and so forth. You really don't want it to come to that point, okay? Because basically, as it breaks down, and please take the time to read through this, but as it breaks down, any combination of up to 4 late or incomplete assignments, so any combination of up to 4 of those, that can cost you a letter grade, okay? Now, for you to get an incomplete, typically you have to really screw it. I have to look at it and see that you just clearly did not invest anything into this particular draft or whatever it happens to be that you're working on. The example that I've given in class is that, if I ask you for a 2-page reflection and you turn in a half a page or a quarter of a page or something to that effect, that translates into you are not putting anything into this, right? Also, if you just do the classic high school stuff like turn something in 16-point font or something to that effect, that just tells me that you're not really putting in what you can put in. So something like that would cause you to get an incomplete. Now, a missed, you can get 2 of those, and that will cost you a letter grade. Now, this is absolutely key, right? What I'm going to say next is absolutely key to passing this course, to success in this course, okay? Anything that you do not turn in at all, okay, costs you a letter grade. Understand that. Anything that you do not turn in at all costs you a letter grade. So in that respect, it's best to turn something in rather than nothing, right? It's better to turn something in rather than nothing, okay? So again, to recap, you can have up to a combination of 4 late or incomplete assignments will cost you a letter grade. So that means that 4 is essentially an 89.5, right? You drop it down to 8, you're hitting like a 79.5, and so on, right? So, or excuse me, yeah, that's right. All right. So in any case, right, that kind of gives you an idea. Where you really begin to get into problems is when you don't turn stuff in, right? When you don't turn stuff in. So please turn your materials in, okay? And if you have any concerns or anything like that, please contact me, okay? But again, I'm asking you to look over this on your own, reflect on it, and then come back to me via email, etc., about any questions that you may have on this. Now, major projects, there is going to be a digital folio. It's going to be a more streamlined version than what I've asked you to do in past semesters, in part because last semester the folio concept and so forth kind of got more or less abandoned, for lack of a better term, because of COVID. So but we'll deal with that. I'm going to work up a new assignment sheet for that, and so you'll have that. It's going to be sort of a streamlined, strong representation of your work throughout the term, based on genre, based on all of that. But I'm not going to require you to turn in every and all on every bit of your work on the folio like I was doing before. Okay, annotated bibliography. This is going to be our first project, and please note that, and I've got the assignment sheet up for it in week 1, even though pieces of it don't start to become due until week 2 and 3. But I want you to read over it in week 1 so you know what you're getting yourself, what's going to be expected of you. So I put it in week 1. Note also that the creation of the research question is in that document. The research process using the library databases and so forth is in that document. Basically everything that you will need going into the annotated bibliography project, that's located in that document. And I'm also going to create some videos with in that regard as well. Our second project is going to be a report where you're going to synthesize information from the annotated bibliography in an essay form, such that you're going to present an overview, right, of that particular research for a particular audience, right? Okay. Now, for the annotated bibliography and so forth, and on out, I suggest that you work with the members of your research community groups on your, particularly on your research question. Each person is going to have to create their own annotated bibliography. So in other words, you're not going to turn in one annotated bibliography with 10 sources. The 4 of you will each turn in your own annotated bibliography with 10 sources, so that collectively you would have, with some allowances for overlap, collectively you probably have about 35, sources, 35 to 40 sources, depending on your overall subject matter. So in any case, that is that's what's going to, but the reason that I ask you to work in these research groups is because there's strength in numbers, right? You can bounce ideas off of each other. You can share frustrations. You can suggest to one another that you look in various sources and so forth. You can use each other as resources for peer review and so forth, right? The argument project, you're actually going to take a stance on the topic based, you're going to take a stance on your research question and argue for a particular stance or a particular outcome or a particular course of action with regard to your research question. Now, you can do this as a group or partnered project if you want. Some people will opt to do it that way. Some people will opt to not do it that way. But again, your research groups can help you out with that. Other very important course concepts. And again, I know I'm going through this quickly. You can always go back and listen to this video again. And of course, you can read through this document, okay? So, other course concepts, this is an asynchronous course, meaning that I'm not asking you to log into WebEx at any particular time of the day and so on and so forth. You can work on this course, when you get home from work. You can work on this course early in the morning, late at night, whenever you want. I'm not asking you to log in on certain. The only thing I'm asking you to do is turn in your materials before the designated due date, right? Before the designated due date and time. There will be videos and or readings for each week. Everything is going to be organized by week and folders by week. So you want to do that. Now, for this particular course, you do not need to opt into Jaguar 1. And so if this is the only course that you're taking for the term, you don't need to use Jaguar 1. You don't need to pay for Jaguar 1 this term. If you're taking more than one course, you might need to. You need to check with your other. You need to check with your other instructor. Okay. Now, I am going to make weekly announcements on Mondays and on Wednesdays prior to 2 p.m. or by 2 p.m. on those days. Okay. So, and I'll send those out via email as well. So look for those announcements. Blackboard groups I've already mentioned. Reflection I've already mentioned. You'll create, and I've already mentioned drafting as well. Okay. Peer editing, conferencing. All right. Conferencing, I know in the past, those of you who had me for 1301, you came to my office and so on and so forth, and we sat and talked and all that. It's becomes more difficult to set that kind of thing up, even virtually. However, I will say that I'm essentially available most hours of the day or night, so that if you need and want to talk with me via WebEx, what have you, I am generally available. If I'm not, obviously I will let you know and I'll work something out. But generally speaking, I can be available, make myself available for you. So keep that in mind. So file formats. This is essentially important, even more so than it was working face to face with you all. I will only accept PDF or .docx, no Pages or Google Docs. Okay, no Pages or Google Docs. Pages and Google Docs do not communicate well with Blackboard at all. Okay, and frankly, I can't open them. So do not submit anything as Pages or Google Docs. Submit your material as .docx or .pdf. As A&M students, you have full access to Microsoft Office, right? Microsoft 365. You have complete and full access to that. So you should be able to use .docx. If you can't, for whatever reason, Google Docs will allow you to export your materials as PDF. Make sure that you export it completely from Google Docs. Okay, all the way out of Google Docs. You have to save it onto your hard drive as a PDF document, and make sure it opens with a PDF reader before you try to send it to me. Okay, but there is a function both in Pages and in Google Docs to save your material as PDF. So you should not be submitting Pages or Google Docs at all. And assignments submission, you submit the assignment via the submission pages on Blackboard, and those will be for the most part in the folders for the different weeks, right? So there's already, for instance, in the week 1 folder, which I'm still populating actually, the week 1 folder, but there's a submission link there for the first reflection. Okay, so you would use that to submit that particular item. So I won't drop you for non-attendance. So if you need to drop the class, please do. As far as how attendance works in an online course, particularly an asynchronous course, is that it's synonymous with turning your stuff in. Okay, and it's synonymous with participating in discussion forums and so forth. If you have not turned in, 2 assignments, for example, I could, if I chose to, count that as 2 absences, for example, right? Or if you're not participating in the discussion boards and so forth in your groups, that's another place where I could say, okay, this person is obviously not present in the class. So the key point with any of that is communication. If something's going on that is not allowing you to participate regularly in the class, please inform me. Now, I'm not asking you to reveal something that is of a sensitive nature if you don't want to do that, right? And I'm not going to penalize you for not feeling comfortable, to do that. I don't necessarily need the gory details, in other words. But if something's going on, let me know so that I can take that under advisement. But do understand that because of some of the collaborative nature of the class, you really need to make every effort to post in the discussions. Because that's how you're going to get to know your group members, which incidentally, as indicated in this here in the syllabus, Blackboard created those groups randomly. Okay, I didn't say, ooh, I'm not going to have this person with this person, or anything like that. No, I did not do that. That was completely created by Blackboard. So blame random assignment rather than me, please. Okay. Also, I don't assign incompletes typically. Now, there could be something major, but typically I will not. This is, of course, boilerplate material that you've seen in your syllabi before. Here are the important dates for the course. Obviously, we start Monday. August 1st is the last day of the class, and so on. Again, I may change some things, add some things, whatever, and if I do that, I will, onto this schedule, if I do that, I will inform you via my weekly announcements and so forth. But you can just scroll through this and kind of see what we're working with. And again, this is an 8-week course, not a 16-week course, so that I did have to kind of lay stuff on in here in a way. So it's not quite as laid back as maybe we would like it to be, because things have to kind of come due fairly quickly. But at the same time, this is very doable. Again, the 2 keys to success in this course: communication, that is communication with me, communication with your research community group members, and second is turning everything in on time. Those 2, and turning everything in complete as well, right? Because you can still turn something in on time and get an incomplete if it's, again, just is not indicative of the labor that I know that you can put forward in something, and so forth. And again, here are the Writing Center hours, by the way. And again, these are online appointments only for the summer. But of course, the Writing Center is always available to you, and so please, avail yourself of that as you feel the need. But again, your real as essential, right, to your effort in the class as the various drafts on the projects are your weekly reflections are going to be as essential, if not more so, right? So you really want to focus on those reflections, because that's where you're, again, going to advocate for what you're putting into the course. For example, if we have peer editing that particular week, you can talk about the peer editing experience. You can talk about, what you got out of it, what you expected but didn't receive, and so on and so forth, right? And again, there's more with that, as in the assignment, on the assignment page, submission page for the first reflection. It gets more into that, but each week's reflection, I'm going to include some guided questions that you don't necessarily have to adhere to, that will help you kind of act as a catalyst to get you to write and reflect on that particular week's activities. Okay, this video has obviously already gone on plenty long, so I am going to stop this now, and thank you so much.